Thank you very much for joining us. This is the news in Africa and the world. But first, DR Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi arrived in Brazzaville late Thursday afternoon, where he was welcomed by his counterpart Denis Sassou Nguesso, President of the Republic of Congo. The two men had a tete-a-tete on bilateral cooperation issues. According to diplomatic sources, the two heads of state spoke about the coronavirus pandemic and the imminent reopening of their borders closed for over 3 months as part of emergency plans to stem the spread of the virus. The closure affects not only trade between Kinshasa and Brazzaville, but also families who live on both sides of the Congo River who have not met each other for many months. Equally on the agenda of discussion was the border crisis between the DRC and Zambia, in which Brazzaville has already offered its mediation. In this light, a mini summit is in preparation. The two countries in conflict are expected to participate, as well as Zimbabwe, on behalf of the Southern African Development Community, and Congo-Brazzaville, which chairs the International Conference on the Great Lakes region. The Senegalese authorities are easing measures against the COVID-19 a little more. It has reopened its air borders after 4 months of closure, with the arrival at Dakar International Airport of an Air Algérie flight. The Ministry of Air Transport said the resumption was accompanied by some health protocol imposing obligations on airlines flying to Senegal. According to a document from the ministry, a passenger leaving for Senegal must, for example, present the original of a negative COVID-19 test certificate dated less than 7 days, issued by an approved laboratory by the state where he started his journey. Land and sea borders have, however, remained closed. Tunisia's Prime Minister Eliès Fakhfakh has resigned amid a brewing political crisis. Fakhfakh's resignation comes as a campaign to oust him in a vote of no confidence gathered momentum. Fakhfakh is under investigation over alleged failure to hand over control of shares he owns in private companies that have won public contract. He was appointed Prime Minister by President Kais Saied in January following general elections last year that ended with no clear winner and a fractured parliament. State media reports quoted Fakhfakh as saying he hoped his resignation opened up a new path for a new way out of the crisis for the president. From Africa, and in a brief note, this Friday 17 and Saturday 18 July, EU leaders are meeting physically in Brussels to discuss the European recovery plan to respond to the COVID-19 crisis and a new long-term EU budget 2021 to 2027 in the framework of a special European Council. The negotiations on the European recovery plan and the long-term EU budget constitute a decisive moment for the European Union and a collective sustainable future. Details you will have in a subsequent edition. Stay tuned. And in France, the newly appointed Prime Minister Jean Castex has detailed his plans to foster recovery from a damaged recession and revamp a controversial pension reform, as he laid out his political roadmap in an address to the National Assembly. He said the priority of his government for the next 18 months will be adopting a method to tackle the crisis head-on, with a strong focus on fighting unemployment and saving jobs. Castex announced massive investment in state-funded research over the next decade to the tune of 25 billion euros. He said the state will pump money into industry and green technologies. A 100 billion euro economy recovery package to be rolled out this Friday will include 40 billion euros in support for domestic industry and services, he said, promising to slash taxes that hold back companies' productive capacities. In In Macedonia, Zoran Zaev is seeking to return as Prime Minister, hoping to be the leader who opens the country's long-awaited EU accession talks. The vote on Wednesday was the first parliamentary election since the Social Democrats added North to the Balkan country's name. The accord ushered the Balkan state into NATO and opened the door to future EU membership. Lacking an outright majority with only a 35.8% of the vote, the center-left Social Democrats will now face a coalition talks that could drag on for weeks in an attempt to form a government. These could postpone stable leadership at a time when coronavirus infections are surging and the country's already weakened economy is heading towards a pandemic-triggered recession. If the Social Democrats fail to form alliances, the right-wing Revolutionary Organization Democratic Party, just behind with a 34.5% of the vote, according to the State Election Commission, will get a chance to build a government. And the U.S. will not, after all, deny visas to international students at U.S. universities forced to take online classes as a preventive measure against the coronavirus. This was seen in a rare and swift immigration policy reversal signed by the Trump administration on Tuesday. The measure was seen as a move by President Donald Trump's administration to put pressure on educational institutions and are adopting a cautious approach to reopening amid the global pandemic. There were more than 1 million international students in the U.S. for the year 2018-2019 academic year, according to the Institute of International Education. In June, President Trump froze until 2021 the issuing of green cards, which offer permanent U.S. resident status and some work visas, particularly those used in the technology sector. Recall that 2 days after the policy was announced on July 6, top U.S. schools such as Harvard and Massachusetts Institute of Technology will represent a higher education industry at risk of losing as much as $45 billion in tuition and fees from foreign students, had threatened legal action against the White House if it went forward with the move. Those were the essentials in Africa and the world. Thanks for watching. Don't go away. Programs continue on DBS television. Do take care and stay safe.